What is happening, my gurus? Wishing everybody a happy Monday. I hope everyone had a good weekend and everybody's pretty stoked that things are relatively green again. It's been a rough couple months. We saw absolute destruction with many retail traders getting absolutely liquidated and absolutely wrecked over the last 2 months. I do still maintain that all of this has been a somewhat coordinated move. I don't think that the markets are left to be left to their own devices. I don't think that the market is random. I do think that we're at the point, especially with cryptocurrency, where it's still very easy to manipulate. It's getting a bit more difficult as the market caps increase, but it is still relatively easy to manipulate for those that are in those positions. So I am pretty happy to see that the powers that be have decided it's time to go green again, which is fantastic. I think that it's also in line with a lot of the employment data coming up that we were coming off of the back of last week that we spoke about. One thing I do want to quickly address is just a reminder of how much this market is ruled by sentiment and how much fear and greed play a massive role in this. This is due mostly in part to the fact that the reason why I'm bringing it up is because to see such a massive spike in the stock market off the back of this sort of, employment data, and then, naturally Bitcoin's going to follow through, and naturally that will obviously pull the whole crypto space up with it. But I mean, for us to be seeing emotional sentiment ruling the stock market as well is definitely a new and unprecedented place for humanity, for society, and I don't think we've ever been here before. So this is really interesting. I think that it's also going to potentially prevent us from getting to these places of recession and sort of economic downturn and Great Depression-esque economics, which has been touted recently. Obviously nobody wants to see that. We are heading towards a massive elephant in the room with regards to inflation, with regards to the fact that, many of the world's economies are not recovering the same way that the first world's recovering. And I think a lot of it has to do with, China and what their end goal is here. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. Here we are just looking at the stock market, seeing what happened over the weekend. We are now looking at the 4-hourly chart. Just a reminder for those who are not aware, you can choose the time frame in which you view certain charts. And then obviously those time frames are displayed up here, and each candle will show you that specific time frame. So for example, here we are on the daily time frame, and then every candle is obviously a day. I'm going to switch back to the 4-hourly time frame. Reason being is that because we are back into the trading zone, things are now exciting, things are bullish, things are no longer slow and sort of how can I say, nothing unexpected is happening in the market. And we're getting to the place where unexpected things are happening in the market, and it's now not this boring sideways, low volume, low liquidity market that we've been seeing for the last couple of months. So that's pretty much where we're at. I also think that for what it's worth, the reason why the beginning of this year may have been a bit of a slump and a bit of a slow uptake was because we are entering the end of this pandemic and the end of whatever the economic impact of the virus was. Cool. So basically, I shouldn't have even said virus. YouTube's going to be all over my ass on that one, but it's all good. It's fine with the amount of listeners that we got. I'm not too phased for now. So on that note, please, guys, for the gurus that are watching these videos, please do me a favor and like and comment and just help me to sort of grow these videos so that more and more people can be exposed to the joys of following the charts and obviously being in tune with the market. Sweet. Now back to Bitcoin. This is pretty much what we're looking at. I'm going to start off here with Bitcoin trading against the US dollar. There's something that I obviously showed last week. I want to just touch on it again. I want everybody to just take a look at this, right? So basically we're stealing the ghost pattern from over here. These are the bars. It's a copy of the movement from this area here. So basically I just want to quickly talk about what happened over here. This was the October pump. So if you guys remember correctly, we saw the end of that massive sort of bearish bear market move, which took us from, let me just tell you exactly, let's get a bit of a date range on this bad boy. Here we go. And let's say like this, from the bottom of the last move to the end of the reversal was 65 days. So that was just over 2 months. Interestingly enough, that was exactly what we saw over here as well in the last sort of bearish move until we got this recent reversal. This was a little bit shorter in the October period. It was about 24 days, so just under half of that. And then, of course, we saw a, I don't want to count from there, but let's just say we can count from the bottom of the wick, which was the worst sort of bearish move until we got the reversal, and that was 60 days. So roughly around the same time as the original bearish or bear market, augmented bear market that we saw in May. So back to what we're seeing over here, we're seeing now a we're obviously seeing a move back up from the bottom of this sort of bearish structure. It was in its own falling wedge. We then got the break of the falling wedge. It was unexpected. It was great. It came out of nowhere. It was on the 1st of October, just as predicted and as people love in the crypto industry, Pumptober as they call it, which is what we got over there. And then you can sort of see, I'm just going to zoom in onto the charts here. Let me make this a bit bigger so everybody can see. Right, so as you guys can see over here, we got this massive bullish spike up here. It then hit the first level of resistance, which was around 48K at the time. Many people said, from a technical perspective, a correction here, a retest here, and then up would have been the way to go forward and the way to trade that bullishness. But obviously, we didn't get that pullback. Look at what happened. Just take a look at this. Sorry, let me just quickly change that to the mouse. There we go. Check out this. So basically, we got this massive bullish spike up. We've got zero corrective moves here, zero corrections. Guys, a reminder that corrections are healthy. Pullbacks are healthy. Pullbacks remind the chart that the lower levels are indeed support. If we just go all the way up and all the way up and all the way up, there's technically no support for us to fall back on. So when it does correct, it'll go here. It wants to bounce, but it won't because there isn't any support there because we never confirmed support on the way up. So it collapses, goes to the next one, says no, collapses, goes to the next one, etc. You guys get the point, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened on the chart. Excuse me, on the chart here. So basically, we come here, we put in an all-time high at the top here. It then goes down, corrects. Everybody's expecting a bit of a deeper correction. It doesn't do that. It confirms these levels up here as 60K as support, goes in, makes another all-time high, and that is when we start to see the inevitable collapse that we started seeing at the end of November. This was off the back of the Omicron data. This was off the back of multiple economic warnings coming out of the Fed, the interest hikes, the blah blah blah. Well, this over here was basically interest hikes and the news of the interest hikes. That's what actually sent shit plummeting. And we obviously saw Omicron breaking out in the States at around this time as well. So that's pretty much, it's easy to follow. But all I want to say, and the point I'm trying to make here, is that if we don't confirm strong support at these levels, what will happen is fundamental events will just simply take us and tank us through these levels. So what I'm hoping to see here, and I'm doing this just purely based on, past action. You can see now, I'm just going to quickly move this aside so you guys can see the current. I mean, if that isn't a carbon copy, I don't know what is. It's literally following the exact same sort of plan and the exact same path to the point where it's even pushing up to the first resistance. Look at that. Pushes up to the first resistance, hangs around here, pushes through to the second resistance, liquidates all of the premature longs, comes back here, confirms this level as support, and then starts carrying on to address the next level. So, that's fine. These levels can be considered support. We've been hanging around here for a long time. We've now proved these levels of support, which I'm happy with. Alternatively, I would have liked to have seen a bit of a lower push to confirm the previous levels of support. And the best possible outcome would have been a drop to here, a retest of the trend line before carrying on. It's not an absolute must, but from a technical perspective, that would make us safe and sound to continue off from the 32 or 36K region. So now we're over here. We've sort of confirmed these levels of support. I'm waiting to see what happens again from here. If we do go and break and push through, then unfortunately, guys, as excited as I would be about this massive bullish move, it concerns me because all it means is that if we're going to get sort of a similar pump, which seems to be happening here, you can already see I've outlined it. Let me just move it back to be a perfect overlay onto the charts here. You can see that the height of this move will only get us to like 60K, which was the last sort of, area of major support that we found. Remember, I said over here, we hit the ATH and then we came here and then went up for it again. So, that means we're going to peak at around here. We're going to peak at 58K. And, these levels have been called by multiple traders. It'll be a nice rally up to the top here. But I do feel like we're going to face the strongest resistance we've faced up here in a very long time. And I do think that will send us tumbling back down. Now, the question is, if we're going to prove support at these levels on the way up, great, because it might mean that we might tumble and then bounce back up, which would be even better and would be great and bullish for the long term as well. However, if we aren't going to prove these areas of support, it's going to fall back here. It's going to most likely bounce, collapse back to 36, which is where we last proved proper support. So let's see what happens. I'm not too eager just yet. I love the bullish sentiment. I love to see these alts recovering, but I am not going to adopt a bullish sentiment just yet. Obviously, we did get, let me quickly just show you guys on the daily charts for those that are interested. we did get a few very important daily closings. Again, for those not sure what I'm talking about here, the daily chart gives us an outlook in terms of a short-term market structure. And what that means is that we will be looking for candles to close above certain price levels every single day. When a candle closes above 42, you know that that is now the new support, because the daily candle has closed above there. It means that 24 1-hour candles sat at those levels and confirmed those levels of support, and therefore it is enough to move forward. And that is why many traders are now moving towards the bullish sentiment. Again, I'm going to definitely reserve my bullish sentiment just for now, just so that I can see we make it up to these more serious levels. I'd love to see us confirm sort of the 42k area as full support, even if it means we hang around here for the rest of the week. I'd love to do that, because what that'll do is it'll give us enough strength to move on and move up. The one thing that we will just have a quick squiz at, let me just move over here, and just so you guys can see over here, is let's do like this. Just want to quickly pull up a very important indicator. I'm going to do it over the weekly, just so that we can sort of weekly is a very, very high time frame, but it is a great time frame to look at something like the bull market support band. So here's where we are. Let me just zoom into the chart. Sorry about this. Let's clean it up like that. Let's just zoom in so everybody can see what's going on here. And let's take a bit of a more in-depth look. So again, we are looking at a weekly sort of chart. The reason I'm doing this is simply because I want us to be able to look at this without bias and to look at it pretty clearly. So as you can see on the weekly chart, we've got this great breakout of the trend line coming down here. It's now breaking out, and it's going to be looking to test. We will probably get the first test of the bull market support band on the 21-week SMA, which will be around here. It could even be a little bit lower, maybe 44k down here by the time we do sort of come up. Again, it's going to depend on the sentiment and the movement of the chart throughout. But basically what I would be looking at here is for us to sort of test this, maybe come back down, get more strength, come back to test it, break through it again, confirm it as support, and then we will see Bitcoin put in another ATH. So let's see what happens. It'll obviously be more towards the Northern Hemisphere summer. On the weekly, the RSI is well at the bottom now, which does prove for us a great long sort of thesis here. Again, we are looking for it to go long. The question is where it's going to correct and where we are going to get the strength to move further up. Cool. So today's update is going to be purely a Bitcoin one. I will get into alts a little bit further on and a little bit later on in the week. But if you guys could just please like the content, share it, comment, and do whatever you can to help me grow this, that would be fantastic. I will keep you boys up to date, or boys and girls, I guess. Not too sure how many ladies are tuning in for these. But yeah, I'll keep you guys all up to date with regards to how this pans out, and we will see. Now we know what we're looking for. We know where the danger lies. We know where things are a little bit loose in terms of market movement without correct technicals. So let's see what happens. We're as I'm giving you this, we're seeing Bitcoin already starting to want to correct back to the previous support, which is good news. I'd like to see us consolidate around here before moving all the way up. Alts are looking extremely healthy. We can take a quick squiz at dominance before I close off the video. Let's have a look here. Dominance is going down. Let's see where it wants to go. Okay, cool. So dominance has broken through its recent support, which is great, because that means we could be looking for dominance to go back down to here. This level would probably be considered the next big level of support. And you guys all know what that means. Dominance down, alts are up. It's fantastic and good times. We could be seeing a very, very good week for alts. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, as always, please hit me up in the channels. I'll be there all day. And yeah, we'll probably be looking to start seeing a lot of the gaming tokens moving towards their their previous levels, which is fantastic. I think Mana, if I'm not mistaken, is probably coming back into its own channel. I will not digress too much though. Yeah, it's hitting that resistance again, but I do feel like it's going to break through if dominance goes down. I wish you guys all a very green week. I'll be in the chat if you guys need me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys soon with the next update.